Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Money, Sex, and God. I fucking love this podcast. I love the people that get to come on. Say hi if you're watching. Let us know where you're watching from. And a reminder that I'm probably going to see all of you this Friday for Pleasure Alchemy to feel your orgasmic aliveness. We're going deep this weekend. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, you better book it now. Because we're basically all the way sold out. So get it now. I don't care what kind of genitals you have. I don't care where you are. This is your event for you. We are going to just turn you on massively. So don't forget to come to that. And to turn you on even more, I'm going to bring in a friend of mine and a guest who I was telling her before we went live, I'm excited for this one because I do not know that much about human design and I'm ready to get learned. I'm ready. Yay. So I'm really into this one. If you guys know human design or if you're interested, let us know, yay, #human design. But I really want to welcome you on, not just as a human design expert, but also as just a leader in what women can be, what moms can be, your kids behind you rocking it out, what we can create for ourselves in terms of wealth creation, in terms of sex and aliveness and fun and fucking joy, right?
Pleasure.
And pleasure, right? And I'm sure this relates to the human design, but you and I have both been able to finagle this. And so I want other people to see us as examples of what's possible.
Yeah.
And to bring you on as the expert. So Paige, tell us a little bit about, I know that you've kind of always been a leader and a badass in the world, right? I was looking at your bio and I was you've been doing this for a while, this kind of shit, right? So tell us a little bit about your journey, just a quick bio before we play even deeper.
Yeah. So I started business about 7 years ago when I was 28 years old. I don't really do math. It was about 7 or 8 years ago. And I started in advertising and marketing and soul sucking, right? Extremely, very much in my masculine push. So that was unsustainable. And about the day that I decided to burn it down, I found human design and dove into that and have incorporated that into the more masculine, the marketing and stuff. And then that kind of evolved into, I just am, you know what I mean? I just, I don't have to give you a deliverable. I just am. And if I'm going to do business, it's because I enjoy it and it's fun for me. So that's where I'm at right now. I've done human design since 2015, implement it in business, implement it in relationships, implement it in life, do business investing, have online courses, opening up a co-creative accelerator here in my small town in Ohio to help cultivate other entrepreneurs. And
I'm I can't believe you live in Ohio. I'm what? You were just such a whirlwind. You must be the mayor of all of Ohio.
It's funny that you say that. Sorry, my son, literally, I told him that we're on the interview. Yes, son.
So, do you remember that giant lady set I created?
Ford, not right now.
Where is it?
I don't know. Probably in there.
Listen, that's single mom life. Let us know, guys, if you're also a single mom. I know there's a lot of single mamas.
Remember that Lego set that we didn't build? I'm yeah, it's probably in pieces somewhere
over there.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio, and a lot of people say that, but I look at it this way: yeah, I could go somewhere else where I am more who I am, and my edginess fits in. I could go to New York, I could go to LA, all that, but then who's going to be here?
Right.
You know what I mean? If everybody leaves these small towns, how do we ever elevate? So 100%. So it did. I got off on, being alienated and being rejected and being different. And so
it's great. And then lead the people to what's real,
100%,
right? And how much fun life gets to be and all the juiciness you get to live. Because I know, your Insta stories, hey Ford, your Insta stories are so fun and so juicy. And even with these kiddos, right? To be able to create that life as a parent, especially why can't we? Right. So I know everyone that's watching is probably wondering what your human design is to be able to create all this shit and manifest it and get those kiddos under wraps. Tell us your whatever you'd call it.
So I'm a manifesting generator with a sacral authority. Open emotional solar plexus. And then I am a 4-1, as you are, which is super rare. Yeah, that's my design. So.
I love it. So what the fuck does that mean?
Okay, so what all of it means. So manifesting generator is my type. There are 5 types in human design. And so basically our type kind of helps us figure out our differentiation. So we all treat each other like we all think we have the same rule book. Like we should all do things a certain way. This is how we make decisions based on our minds. And the truth is we're all different.
Yeah.
And this helps us kind of identify with different archetypes that how we're meant to interact with the world and how the world is meant to interact with us. So I'm a manifesting generator, meaning if I want to do something, if I have an idea, the path of least resistance is to envision it and to like have fun and play in it in my head and then let it go and then go do something else. And then life will come to me and give me something to respond to, a book, a podcast or something. I'll be like, yeah, that had something to do with the thing I wanted. And it's an in my body. Then I take the action. Whereas the rest of society thinks that we need to like have an idea and then go make it happen, when that's just one of the types.
It's probably the manifestors, right?
It's just the manifestor.
That's what I do, and I'm a manifestor, so that makes sense.
Manifesting generator or pure manifestor?
Pure manifestor.
Yeah. So like you can have the idea, make it happen. You have the energy to do that, and you've got the like literally the vehicle that you have allows you to just have an idea and do that. Everybody else, they could do that. It's just more difficult.
It's more draining, right? Like they're not in their pleasure.
It's resistance that you really remove the satisfaction and the fulfillment from it. And then my authority, please stop, Bug. Please, that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. Stop, please. Thank you. So
I loved those mom eyes, like snaps for the mom eyes. You have perfected those.
Like he's been in his room for an hour and then I get on here. He's got an open throat in human design that just like need attention. So, you know, and then my authority is how I make decisions based on who I am. So mine is sacral and it's my womb and it's like, and it's not always turn on. So I don't want anybody to get that confused. It's like, it's a verbal,
So it like drops in like a word or like
if I'm dropped in, it will, you know, if I'm in my body, it'll be like, stop. It's very clear. For me, if it's
Oh, wild. That's so cool. Okay.
Everybody
awesome.
has their own.
Yeah. And what about us 4-1 weirdo? The 4-1 weirdos. Then I was like, Paige, what the fuck is a 4-1? What the fuck is this? This is crazy.
Yeah,
this is why we're aliens? Because yes.
It's just super rare in that like we have our own geometry. I described this the other day. It sounds hard. It is difficult, but basically we have our own path. It's already laid out. It's already laid out. That's why it's so painful when we get pulled off of it. It is painful. Or when somebody's resisting it or comes in and distracts us. We could do it, right? We can get distracted, but it is, I mean, we are on a track, geometrical track. So, and it's just like, we don't have a lot of energy for resistance. So you're either with us and you're with us or you're not. And bye.
Yeah. It's so real. It's so real. Everyone's like, why aren't you my friend? I'm like, well, are you doing this mission? I mean, are we doing the same thing? Because if not, like, what are we doing?
I mean, and do you like me? Like, do you even want to support me? Like, why are you making this more difficult? So yeah, that's what a 4-1 is. And it's just
awesome.
We don't bend, so we break.
They're just
you guys, Ford, Michael, stop. He doesn't like it. He said
she's trying to watch her iPad. Like, stop.
They literally have been fine for at least an hour.
Like, it's like, let's do this. Okay, so let's talk about. Can we start? Do you want to start with money? Let's start with money creation, right?
Yeah.
So money creation as it responds to human design. So I speak a lot about money creation through pleasure, right? And like getting that download in the body through pleasure and then just literally fucking it open. I always say, right? Just go fuck the thing that you desire. Like go do the thingy and then it's going to work. It's when people like half fuck it that it doesn't work.
100%.
Right? It's like limp dick going at it. It's like, Like the fizzle.
Not into it.
But I'm also guessing that human design plays into how well these wealth creations are actually manifested in the world, right? So tell me about this.
Yeah. So we have these open centers in human design. We have defined centers in human design. And I find that most of the world, our defined centers are the energy we put out into the world. It's the energy, it's what we have energy for. It's like what we're like penetrating people with. I mean, it's the thing we're putting out in the world. And then we have these open centers where we're absorbing other people's defined areas, and where we absorb it and we amplify it. So my specialty in human design is the shadows and the patterns. So I specialize really in the open centers, because I always wonder, like, why are we not already creating wealth? Why are we not already doing what we can, what's come so natural to us? And it's because of these patterns or these shadows. So the thing for me with human design is you can just see where they are and like just go right into them head on. And so you've got that, like you've got the open centers. I'll talk a little bit more about how that's played out in my life, but then we also have energetic signatures for each type. So if everybody's looking to feel a certain way according to their type, a lot of people don't know what that feeling is. We think we're manifesting money to be happy or joyful or safe.
Right.
None of those things. We're all looking to feel different things. Our energetic signature. For me, mine is
She's so cute.
mine is satisfied. So obviously, like, I'm like, I want to be happy. Actually, no,
I just want to be
satisfied. So if we don't know what it is, we can't identify it. We don't even know if we're there. So that has helped me help other people. But most of the time, we're conjuring, not manifesting, right? Like we're conjuring from our open centers what we think we're missing and lacking. So what we usually want money to prove ourselves. Well, half of the 70% of the population has nothing to prove. They just have an open center and they feel like they need to prove something. Open emotional centers like myself, I created a dynamic with money where I needed those ups and downs because I was so addicted to emotional highs and lows because I was empath. So I was observing everybody else's emotions around me and going on these roller coasters. So my nervous system got addicted to, got off on rejection, disappointment, failure, like these highs and lows. And so I looked around and it wasn't just money. I was creating it everywhere. Like I wanted to be humiliated. I wanted to fail. I wanted it so bad. And I just kept creating it over and over again. So with human design, I've been able to see like, you're more vulnerable to those emotional highs and lows because you have an open emotional center. It's just about, you're more vulnerable for it or to it, and then it just kind of helps you hack the manifestation process.
That's so cool. I love that. I love it. I, at the beginning of my business, it was like that. It was so many emotional highs and lows. So I have an emotional open center, right? And it felt like that stopped. And I don't know if this might be my chart because I know that I've got defined here. Like that loop stopped as soon as I started claiming this. Like, I don't know how that works, right? But like, it seemed like it worked. I don't know.
I think a lot of it has to do with ownership, right? It's speaking the emotions. It's literally removing the energy from your body because those aren't even your highs and lows. They belong to other people. So the more you express them, I'm feeling humiliated right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm feeling this and it comes out of your body and then it's not there anymore. And it doesn't empower all of your creations.
Yeah. Totally. I love that. So, all right. So money has to do with kind of where we're open, where we're closed and where we're getting sucked into the life of the open centers, right? And how that's kind 100%. Of like, and the ones that are closed, I would guess, what would we do with those? Like kind of use
that's where you want to create
right. So when to create to magnify those, right?
That's the life you want to speak off your tongue. I am willful. I am satisfied. I am whatever those open centers are, those I ams. You want to speak life into the things you are already energetically putting out into the world. You want to create from those centers because those creations will give you energy. It's a loop and it will just feed you as opposed to creating from your open centers where you don't have that energy. It's not sustainable. So those things don't sustain.
One of my open centers is in my mind, like
Same.
and I always joke. I'm like, when people start talking about fucking philosophy, I literally just I stop paying
I'm
attention.
just like this, and then I
like,
off. And it's like you can create anything you want. Like God created us to create, like whatever the fuck. But He also gave us gave us boundaries to play with.
Right.
To live and feel ultimately satisfied or peaceful or whatever your energetic signature is. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
Like I would just prefer to feel satisfied 90% of my life. That's how I want to play this game.
Yeah, or framed in a way, right? Another way my community kind of has heard me say this before, like we are already infinite possibility, like all of us, right? Because we're created in that.
Yep.
And we have assignments, right?
You have a rule over your assignment. Yeah. You came here to be a king or queen over something. You came to be the power and presence of God over something. Like, no, I am the queen of that. You know what I mean? Like you're powerful, but I am the one.
Right. Exactly. And the reason that there is one per assignment is because it would be boring as fuck if all of us were doing the same damn thing. Right. Absolutely. So like, there's no way that anyone's assignment is the same as yours. Everyone is ultimately unique. Like that's the perspective.
But we're all trying to like rule over each other's assignments.
Right.
And that's why you can't serve two masters. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're going to half-ass it. Like, I'd rather be all me than half of somebody else.
Yes, totally. And there's a recognizing that, yes, we are all infinite, right? Or God consciousness, we're all the things. And like the character that you're playing, right? Like Paige's character is a manifesting generator, right? Like this is the shit that she does. Like these are the roles that have been put in and you get to play in them.
And like, let's say that I did want to change them. I could, but I would rather play in, it's just, life is easier.
I was going to say like least resistance, right?
I've done it before, bitch. I've lived lots of lives where it was hard. I feel like this is it. Like, I was like, I'm really gonna, you deserve this life, honey. Like, I really, you know what I mean? Like I always joke about like, with as being a 4-1 and this open emotional center and they're superhumans. And it's like, if I'm going to have to go through all the stuff I'm going to go through to do what I'm here to do, a lot of spiritual leaders don't want to do what I'm getting ready to do or what I am doing right now. Like they don't.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in a beautiful loft and I'm going to be crying into my Balenciaga, you know, I'm going to do it in my Pradas and on a private jet. Like I'm going to at least be comfortable while I'm processing all of the world's shit.
Yes, exactly. Totally. I love it. And I so fucking relate. I'm like, I want to do all this and like at least private massages every night and we'll be good.
Because I earn it. It's just like, if I'm going to do this, like, God, I declare and demand.
Right. Exactly.
Put me up.
So the relationship piece, right? Because I see this and I work with couples like VIP. So I do like year-long couples stuff where I like become their third, right? Basically like I'm in it.
You would.
I would, right? I'm like, I'm right here. Hey, cheering you on. So what I see most common, it's so fucking common, is this desire to fix the partner or change the partner.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just wanted to hear, like, if your partner were you, it would be boring as fuck. Number one, there'd be nowhere to go. And your partner's human design is probably also totally different. So
it's the exact opposite.
Right.
So like, where you're defined, they're open, and where you're open, they're defined. And so first off, you are already whole and complete as you were created to rule over your assignment. Right. Our energy, God is such a little kinkster and is like, I'm going to set this up where everybody thinks that they're missing something. You know what I mean? Like we are whole, but God really wants us to, like, he's just getting off on it also.
Totally.
So like, I love it.
Yeah.
So into the relationship piece. I can talk about this all day long. So I have so I always attract men who are defined emotionally. So the dynamic that's created is, as you can imagine, an emotionally avoidant man, because he's got all these emotions that he's pushed down his entire life, especially in a society that tells you men are not supposed to feel. So they start feeling their feelings and they're like, nope. So they run. I'm feeling their feelings.
Yep.
Right. But they're not mine. So the minute they leave, I don't have the emotional presence, right? It's not there anymore. So like they come, I feel their desire for me, then they leave, and then I'm like, they don't desire me. They don't desire me. Tell me you desire me. So it literally creates this avoidant, anxious attachment. It's so fun because it's such a turn on if you're like kink is feeling rejected, disappointed, never wanted or accepted. And that's my thing. Like,
right.
What I'm into.
I love it. I love it. You just fucking own that. Because so many people's kink, right? Like I know I put Sabrina, my partner, and I as human design together, and we saw like, oh, it's the whole thing. Like boop, boop. So it makes sense why I'll look at them sometimes and be like, you're so different than me. What the fuck? And sometimes it's anger about that. And sometimes it's like, oh, cool. Most of the time it's like, why won't you be exactly right? Like that's what people always fight about, right? That's always what happens.
I have found through this dynamic that I'm so grateful for, but I literally repeated the same pattern for all of 2018 and 2019. It was unbelievable. And they were all Geminis too. It was wild. But ultimately there's like the biggest fuckboy, right? There's always like the one.
Yep.
Who is God's gift, truly. And so what I had to come to grips with was that's my kink. I'm super into being, I was, right? I'm not going to prophesy over my life anymore with that. But like, I was super into being rejected, being humiliated. And that's what I needed. That's what I wanted, right? Having is wanting. I wanted that.
Yeah.
So how I'm able to shift it and manage and master my own emotions, which is what having an open emotional center is all about. We're here to master our own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
How I had to change my perspective was I wanted this. I got what I wanted. I'm a bad bitch. I always do get what I want. I get whatever I want. I always get what I want, right? That also gets me off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually way more turned on by the fact that like when I was turned on by the humiliation, right? But now I'm at a place where I'm like, I like it. I like to be humiliated. I owned it and I released the shame around it and I will sit in it. I will just sit in it. And then if you sit in it long enough, it will turn you on.
Yep.
And then the more you do that, it kind of starts to dissipate. The turn on starts to dissipate from the humiliation. Now these men are honoring me.
Yep.
And I'm way more turned on by that. To the point where like, if they even tried to humiliate me, they would like, you know, whatever comes up against me will not prosper. I'm like, that's not going to work here, but you honor me and like, we're going to do that. But at first I had to own it. Yep. And then the key, the most life-changing thing was find appreciation for them for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Literally being like, you loved me so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to honor me so much that you probably did want to fuck me. Mm-hmm. You probably did want to be close to me. Who doesn't? You know, like that's like, who doesn't want to be close to the power and presence of God? Who doesn't want to, you know, be in my presence? Yeah. So you wanted to be close to me, but you didn't because you love me enough to give me what I really wanted, which was rejection. I mean, I've had so many men, the ultimate dom, right? Yep. So I've had so many men tell me, my ex-husband used to say this all the time. He would walk in the house and he would want to hug me and give me what I consciously wanted. Like, he's like, I really want to hug her right now. But then something in his body would keep him from doing it. He's like, I don't know what it was. I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, I want to, but I can't. And I'm like, because that's how fucking powerful I am.
Exactly.
That's how much mastery, that's how much energetic mastery I have over you and my reality and creation is you want to do that. I've had many men be like, do something that was just out of pocket and disrespectful. And they're like, I have no idea why I did that. And then I started to look back and I'm like, oh, I'm requiring these men to be in their lower masculine, to do these things. It's like keeping them from being the highest version of themselves, because then, you know,
then you can get off. Yeah.
What I could get off on. And that is so unhealthy for everybody. So the only thing to do, Genevieve, was to focus on myself and my own feelings. So literally anytime I feel a feeling that's negative, or I know I'm going to avoid it, or I don't say something because I'm afraid of rejection, I just feel it anyway. I feel the rejection before the rejection happens.
Exactly. Right.
And then it doesn't happen. And if it does happen, I don't care. I'm still getting off. I mean, I am literally turned on all day.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. By everything, right? And
everything.
you said so many key points that I just want to highlight here, right? Like one is reality creation, right? Like we go into this deep in pleasure creation, one of my sex and business masterminds, right? Like this is not for the faint of heart, the concept that like, yeah, actually all the characters, your partner, your kids, like everyone is actually created for you doing exactly what the fuck you want.
By you.
Right. By you. Right. You
like,
did it.
And we obviously have to speak on like oppression and systematic racism and things like that, because those are collective
yes
realities and patterns. But the only way to shift those is if each individual gets out of getting off on oppressing other people,
100%.
getting off on being oppressed. I mean,
getting off on the victimhood, right? Like 100%. How hot is that? So sexy.
If you just, I know it sounds wild, but if you just sit in it and you don't numb it with food or alcohol or distractions or phones, and you just give yourself 3 breaths in it, it will almost, I have never had it not turn into turn on.
Yep. It does naturally, right? This is the concept of alchemy, erotic alchemy, which is actually just life force doing its fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not hard, but it's just, we're so trained against that. We're trained to smush it down or not claim it, right? And because of that, we're running away from the thing that can actually produce the pleasure and the alchemy, right? Which is exactly what.
What's how much pleasure can you hold? Also, I think when it goes back to the money manifestation, you can only hold so much, right? So like this actually, and you can only have so much.
Yes.
So I'm having more pleasure, which is just creating more like my ability to have more pleasure. But also it's just really creating the ability to accept. I will not accept big love in my life, like massive amounts of honoring and love and adoration, all the things I fucking deserve.
Yep.
If I'm also not willing to feel the other side of the pole of that, if I'm not willing to feel ultimate rejection, like the biggest loss of my life, I can't experience the biggest love of my life if I'm not willing to feel the biggest loss of my life. So I'll just feel it. Like that's what I'm doing every day. I'm just like, what would it feel like for this person or this thing to just be gone? And it's hard and it hurts, but every day it gets less and less painful and more, I'm literally more and more turned on.
Yes.
And then I will just have it. Like it will come to me because pleasure is a magnet.
Yes. Right.
And so now I've just alchemized it.
Yep.
And I'll stop it. And it may not be that person, but God didn't forget me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I'll have the thing or the person that if I am big love, if I am adoration, if I am devotion, if I am joy, if I am pleasure, if I am partnership, if I am commitment, all those things to myself, I can't not attract that in my life. They have to be attracted to me. Right now, I was just disappointment, rejection. All of that was tied up in my pleasure,
Right. And that's all you're getting. I love it. I love it. So many fucking juicy key points in this. And I know, so I love the title of what you've created and what you're manifesting in the world. What is it? Fuckboy Reform School. That's so fucking hot. Can you tell us about that? Cause like, I want to jump in even though I don't have a fuckboy right now. But tell us all the things.
No, the thing is, it's okay. So Fuckboy Reform School is me and 2 of my other, my former relationship coaches. One, the first person that ever taught me about a rotation. Because I was such an over investor in every man, like, classic narcissist magnet. Like I just overgiver and whatever. So she taught me about rotation. And then Gabby is just a feminine, just this feminine magnetism, like oozing it. And I've gone through so much with human design and my relationship. So we just decided to create something that we think is really needed and that's missing. And that is that there is a whole subset of the population that is vulnerable to fuckboys. And all fuckboys are, if you take out like clinical narcissism and actual like abusers,
right?
They're just emotionally defined men.
Right.
In human design who are afraid of their own feelings and who are avoidant attachments. And all they need is a secure person in their life, to teach them how to be secure by not teaching them at all, by just being secure.
Right.
But all of these women are literally like, they're anxious. They've got their dopamine's a mess. They've got, borderline personality disorder because of these open emotional centers. And so we're just basically teaching, they think that we're going to teach them how to master their fuckboy, but what we're going to teach them is how to master themselves.
Yep.
And so it's a fuckboy reform school. They are the fuckboy.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Like if you're attracting emotionally unavailable men, I would bet my life that you are completely emotionally unavailable for yourself.
Yes, 100. I teach the same thing over, and I always do the same thing that you're doing, where I say it's going to be about the partner, right? And then they come in and they're like, "Oh fuck, it's all me. It's always me." Exactly. It's created by you for you. Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah,
right.
We're making it super accessible and for the Gen Z millennial cusp of 25 to 30 who have not quite gotten into the marriage thing yet. Let them get ahead of the game.
I love it. That's so hot. I love it.
Ultimately help the men. It's ultimately to heal these men also.
Well, and to help love prevail, right?
Mine's here to break down barriers to union. That's why I was born.
Right.
What I'm doing, I'm just doing this. The only way I know how to do is focus on me, then to help women, because women are the emotional, vulnerable leaders in relationship. You gotta go. Everybody's like, what do I have to do to work for men? They're not going to do the emotional work on their own. You got to do it first. You got to lead there. You got to, guide with emotional and vulnerability. The reason they don't want to do it is because they don't want to be emotionally vulnerable, because they don't want to be emotionally available for themselves.
Right.
It's usually the open emotional centers.
Yeah. So yummy. I love it. Is there anything else that's on the top of your mind that you want to mention to the community or to the peeps before we close today? Anything else appearing for you?
No, I just was really glad that we got to talk about the open emotional center and the nervous system, and being able to shift, from victimization, honestly, a victim of other people's emotions, to mastery of your own and yourself.
Boom.
That's ultimately what it's about.
It's 100%. If you want to figure out how to live in life and pleasure and bliss and ease, it's that, right? It's a self-responsibility for your own emotions. And I love that you're leading that.
I'm asking for nothing and appreciating everything right now. And it feels so good.
Exactly. I'm so glad that you and I got to connect again. It's been a bit. And so I'm glad that we got to do this. Thanks so much for coming on Money, Sex, and God. And I'm sure people will watch replay, have questions, all that yummy yum. So they'll follow you on all the platforms, I'm sure.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on, love. I'll talk to you soon.
Right. Bye.